This is question 6 for the test. The train ride at the zoo covers a distance of 2.5 miles in 1/3 of an hour. How many miles per hour does the train go? So we're going to want to set up a proportion, and let's set it up with miles on top and hours on bottom. So that's going to be 2.5, and that's going to be over 1/3. So again, we have our miles on top and our hours on bottom. And we're trying to find for this question is how many miles per hour does the train go? So because our miles are on the top, that's what we're looking for. And on the bottom is how many miles per hour does the train go? So 1 hour. Again, we have our hours on the bottom. Now we can definitely solve by multiplying partners and dividing by the loaner, but we should probably do some unit conversion to make sense of the problem. So let's do a unit conversion with our hours. We can convert hours to minutes. So 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. But we got to make sure to convert both of these. So 1/3 of an hour, we got to figure out how much that is in minutes. Well, if 1 hour equals 60 minutes, we had to figure out what is 1/3 of 60 minutes, or 1/3 of 60, which is basically asking what is 60 divided by 3? 60 divided by 3 is 20. So 1/3 of an hour is 20 minutes. At this point, we can multiply the partners and divide by the loaner, but again, it's a little tricky. So we can convert this mixed number, 2.5, to a decimal number. 2.5 is equal to 2 5/10, or again, 2.5. Now we can easily solve this proportion. So we want to multiply the partners and divide by the loaner. So our partners are 60 and 2 5/10. So we multiply those, 60 times 2.5, which is 150. And then 150 divided by our loaner, which is 20, gives us 7.5. Now remember, our 7.5 or 7 5/10 is this x. And our x was our miles because we had our miles on the top. So what that means is they travel 7.5 miles per hour. Because it was 7.5 miles, our x, over 60 minutes, which is an hour. Now after you're able to get that, it's not too hard to find the answer for question B. How far can the train travel in 3 hours? Well, if the train travels 7.5 miles per hour, all we have to do is find out how much it travels in 3 hours. Again, we can set up a proportion. We can either use what we already have for our rate, or we can use our new unit rate as our rate. So 7.5 miles was traveled in 1 hour. And we're trying to figure out how many miles is traveled in 3 hours. We don't have to do any unit conversions because we have whole numbers for our hours. So all we have to do is, again, multiply the partners and divide by the loaner. So we do 7.5 times 3, which gives us 22.5. And we have to divide that by the loaner, which is 1, which gives us still 22.5. And what that number was, 22.5, that was our x. Because our miles were on the top, that means we traveled 22.5 miles in 3 hours. Because the 22.5 is our x, and that was over 3 hours. By showing your work, you show the proportion you use. Now, a lot of people, they saw the unit rate, and they knew that 7.5 miles was traveled in 1 hour. So to figure out how many miles they traveled in 3 hours, all they did was multiply this by 3, which is pretty much what we did with our proportion. But the proportion is a good way to show the work.